Hi guys, welcome to virtual week 1 of Learning with Miss Jones. Last time we were in the classroom, we were talking about evolution. And our definition of evolution, if you recall, was talking about how there is a gradual change over time. I can show you proof of a gradual change over time. You see this hair? I'm rocking the ombre without even trying to. Didi, I miss you. I need an appointment before that baby comes. Don't even worry about highlights, just give me the whole box of color. So if you recall, one of the things we talked about on theories of evolution was Lamarck. He talked about stretching your necks. And if giraffes would stretch their necks, then they would be able to reach trees. We would pass that on to their offspring. We stretched our necks like this. Remember that? We stretch our neck. Keep stretching. Come on. After Lamarck, we talked about Charles Darwin. And Charles Darwin is the father of evolution. He said that only the best fit organisms would survive and pass their traits on to their offspring. And over time, that gene pool can change. It depends on what the environment is asking for. If you recall, one of the last things that we did was the bean lab. Everybody had a knife, fork, or spoon, and there was a timer. You had a bunch of different beans on the table, and you were sitting there trying to figure out who was going to win. Unfortunately, nobody finished that, but just to give an idea of where we were last time I saw you guys. So during virtual week 1, we're going to focus on adaptations and resistance. Still part of your evolution packet. And one adaptation I really need right now, my sunglasses. It's awfully bright out here today. The first adaptation we're going to talk about are structural adaptations, and there are 2 types of structural adaptations. The first type of a structural adaptation is camouflage. You can see many different things that blend in with their environment, whether it be chameleons or it could be deer in the woods. It's really hard to see with their brown fur coat color in the woods. They blend in with the trees quite well. Tigers and cheetahs also blend in their savanna grasslands, and it makes it very hard for their prey to see them. Therefore, that's why they're very easy to attack. The second type of structural adaptation is called mimicry. Now, if you mimic somebody, you're trying to imitate what they are. So there's 2 types of mimicry. First of all, a harmful species can resemble another harmful species. Hence, a yellow jacket, wasp, bumblebee, all those different things. On the flip side, you can have a harmless species look just like a harmful species. That means that other organisms will stay away from it. A great example of this is the eastern king snake and the coral snake. Ugh, I don't like snakes. Now, eastern king snakes you can find right here in North Carolina. They have a red, black, and yellow pattern to them. There's also coral snakes. You don't find them here, you find them more in rainforests, but they're very poisonous and very dangerous. But there's a rhyme so we can tell the difference. They both have that red, yellow, and black pattern, but the rhyme goes, red on yellow, kill a fellow. Red on black, friend a jack. Miss Jones doesn't like either, so red on whatever, kill them all. The second type of adaptation are behavioral adaptations. So for example, birds, they like to migrate south for the winter. It's a lot warmer there. Bears like to hibernate during the winter. And possums, well, they play dead to avoid predators. Oh, just kidding. The third and final adaptation we'll talk about today is functional adaptations, where their internal functions allow them to survive. For example, there are certain things out there that are resistant to antibiotics. There's also bugs that are resistant to pesticide, and that has become a serious problem. The next part of our lesson today, we're going to be talking about resistance. Now, even though we're all human, our genetic variation within all of us allows some species to be more resistant to diseases than others. It's just like the coronavirus. We can't explain it, but some people get different symptoms than other people do. It's very crazy what's going on right now. One of the first antibiotics ever introduced was penicillin. Now, 50 years ago, it worked great. Nowadays, not so much. It's not killing the same bacteria it used to, because bacteria have become what we call superbugs. So as these superbugs continue to develop and evolve, they're becoming more and more resistant to the antibiotics that we're taking. Which, by the way, just so you know, make sure you take the entire course of your antibiotics in order for your infection to go away and kill as many bacteria as you possibly can. If you don't, you are more at risk for these bacteria to become more susceptible to not being killed by antibiotics. And if that's the case, then over time, weaker bacteria become superbugs, and we can't have that right now, especially. And mosquitoes have become more and more resistant to bug spray. Fortunately, over the years, scientists have developed things that we call vaccines. Now, vaccines give us what we call active immunity. Active immunity means that you are actively going to take care of yourself. So we get stuff like shots. They aren't so bad. They only sting for a minute. At least that's what they tell you. But what vaccines do for us is they allow our bodies to go ahead and see that virus and then build up an immunity to it. So if we're ever actually exposed to the entire thing, we can fight that off. One vaccine you have to get yearly is the flu vaccine. Now, can you still get the flu if you have the flu vaccine? Yes. However, if you get the flu after having your flu vaccine, you'll be a whole lot better off than if you didn't have the vaccine. And it also reduces your chances of getting it. So why not get the flu shot? Unfortunately, the flu evolves every year. That's why we have to get our flu shot every year in order to protect ourselves. You probably don't remember most of the shots that you get as soon as you were born. There's a lot of shots between the time you're born and the time that you're 2. But you don't really remember that. This is just a warning. You get most of your shots when you're about to go to college. You'll get your DDT shot, your MMR shot, your Hep A, Hep B, Hep C shots, meningitis shots, all sorts of different things that you'll get before going to college. And most of the time you have to show those immunization records in order to go to college. If you don't, they won't let you come. I'm sure you've heard in the past couple of weeks that in order to go back to normal, we're going to have a coronavirus vaccine of some capacity. Fortunately, a lot of people are working together across the world to make that happen. But it takes a lot more time than you anticipate. I didn't think it would take that long. I mean, hey, technology's changed so much in the past few years by itself, you know? But then that's how we can build up our immunity to the coronavirus. And then we won't be so afraid to spread it anymore. So we have active immunity, and then we also have passive immunity. Now, just by you going to a public school, you're exposed to a ton of different things every single day. Because of that, you already have some immunity built up in your body. And so, when a mother has a baby, then that means that anything that she is breastfeeding to the baby can be passed on to the baby. So the baby acquires that immunity from the get-go. Babies are born with nothing, which is why a lot of people consider breastfeeding to help their babies out. Now, there are many different diseases out there, and diseases are what can invade our bodies and cause all sorts of reactions to take place. Pathogens are disease-producing agents such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, protists, all sorts of different things that can cause a response to your body. On the surface of those pathogens, we have things called antigens, and these antigens are the ones that trigger an immune response by your bodies. Luckily, we have white blood cells, and those white blood cells are really good at trying to attack what's going on. And then eventually they'll remember, hey, we've attacked that before, so let's fight it off again. So when you're first exposed, your antibody rate production is not going to be but so much. But the second time you're exposed, it's much higher, because you've already been exposed to it. And the cells in your body have memorized that, so they can make the antibodies a whole lot faster than they did the first time, which is fantastic. Usually I'd show you these organisms that I have in the classroom. They're like this big to show you what an antigen and antibody look like, but unfortunately I didn't bring those home with me, sorry. But what antibodies do is work with your B cells. Those are white blood cells in your body. And those antibodies go and attach to those antigens. And when they do, they stop them from reproducing. And if they can stop them from reproducing, the disease will go away, and then the battle has been won. And that's another thing scientists have been working on lately with the coronavirus. They've been trying to take people who've already had the virus and it's run its course on them and they survived, and they're trying to see what their blood looks like in their antibodies so they can have some protection against it. And that may help to make a vaccine for the coronavirus. Wouldn't that be great? But all this stuff is very relevant to what's happening right now, to what's happening today. And I encourage you, if you have any questions, please ask. I'd love to talk about this even more. But to keep your lecture short, hopefully even shorter next time, I'm going to end it right here for today. Till next time, guys. And though we talked about it before, that's the spider web on my face. That's gotta go. That's gotta go. You'll get your DDT shot, you'll get your